The Las Vegas Raiders are a tremendously improved team from last year with all the players they were able to get this offseason. It's not hard to be tremendously improved with the year they had last year, but they did make themselves a much more competitive team. The NFL media looks at the Raiders more favorably this year than they have in years. The thing about last year is, as bad as they were, they only lost 2 games to the AFC West Division winning Kansas City Chiefs by a total of 9 points. The Raiders lost the second game because they botched the snap after getting in range to kick the game-winning field goal. So with all the improvements the Raiders have made to the team this offseason, how much have they closed the gap between themselves and the Chiefs? That's the million-dollar question. Well, you have to say the Raiders closed the gap a lot at the quarterback position. Last year it was the Raiders being known to have the worst quarterback situation in the NFL against Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL. That margin has shrunk to the best of the 10th best with the Raiders trade for Geno Smith this offseason. I gotta give it to Aiden O'Connell though. He did throw for 340 yards on the Chiefs in the second game. I can't help but think of what kind of day Smith would have had that day. There are O'Connell guys out there, but it's unanimous around the league that Smith is a better quarterback. Again, he's number 10 while Mahomes is up there at number 1, and O'Connell is somewhere around the bottom of the league. He's better than Gardner Minshew though. Minshew had to be the absolute worst starting quarterback in the NFL last year. He threw 9 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Does it get any worse than that? Smith, in a bad year with no blocking from his offensive line, threw 21 touchdown passes to 15 interceptions last year. The Raiders could have used that last year, but with better blocking and better weapons, Smith will be better than that this coming year. Let's talk about the protection Smith will have with the Raiders this year. The Raiders were ranked number 13 in pass protection last year, so like I've been saying, they're not as bad as some may think. Then when you put Jackson Powers-Johnson in center, the offensive line will be that much better. As you know, Colton Miller will be at left tackle and DJ Glaze will be at right tackle, and left guard is still in question between Thayer Munford, Jordan Meredith, and Dylan Parham. All 3 of them are good as pass blockers, so no matter who wins the job, Smith's going to have the pass protection he needs to succeed. The Raiders might have someone that can block Chiefs interior defensive lineman Chris Jones now. A couple of years ago, when healthy, free agent pickup Alex Coppa shut him out. I'm telling you, that man can play when healthy. Jones has long been a disruptive force against the Raiders, who haven't had a guy that can consistently block him. I've been saying all offseason that if Coppa can keep himself healthy this coming year, he's going to be a great addition to the Raider offensive line. They're a far cry from the Seahawks offensive line that let him get sacked and chased all over the yard last year. With Smith now in town, the Raiders want to go deep off play action in the passing game. Their passing game is still built around tight end Brock Bowers though. He makes big plays himself when asked to. Remember the damage he did against the Kansas City Chiefs last year with 10 catches for 140 yards in the second game? He made some big plays too. He had a 33-yard touchdown catch, a 29-yard catch, and a 25-yard catch in the game. Speedster Trey Tucker chipped in with a 58-yard touchdown catch. Of course, Bowers was started at tight end while Tucker's at one of the outside receiver spots. Jacoby Myers is in the slot. As of minicamp, it looks like rookie speedster Dante Thornton is ready to start on the other side. Saying Thornton is 6'5", 210 pounds, and runs a 4.3 40 will never get old unless he has hands like Darius Hayward-Bay, but that's not the case. All the talk about him not being polished in his route running is false, so it looks like the Raiders have a steal from the 4th round. The Chiefs will probably have to keep both their safeties back most of the time now. Of course, head coach Pete Carroll and the Raiders will more than welcome that. They want to run the ball anyway. Run the ball and play defense is Carroll's middle name. That's why he picked running back Ashton Jeanty, number 6 overall in the 2025 NFL Draft, right? The Raiders didn't run the ball on the Chiefs very well the first time they played them. They only had 33 yards rushing and 21 attempts for 1.6 yards per carry. They got the running game going in the second game, though. The Raiders ran the ball 25 times for 116 yards and 4.6 yards per carry in that game. Sincere McCormick was the leading rusher of that game with 12 carries for 64 yards and 5.3 yards per carry. McCormick isn't as good as Jeanty but has a similar slashing type of running style that's effective against the Chiefs. The vertical game also made the running game more effective. Then again, Zamir White rushed for 145 yards on the Chiefs at the end of 2023, and the Raiders didn't complete a pass for 3/4 of that game. They're the ones that came up with the formula for beating the Chiefs, and running the ball is a big part of it. Now we go to the defensive side of the ball, where the Chiefs have their problems trying to block the Raider defensive line. Oh, by the way, they struggled to block the Raider defensive line with or without Christian Wilkins. Remember 2023? Interior defensive lineman Adam Butler was the man that dominated the inside for the Raiders that day, and edge rushers Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz dominated the edges. Superstar quarterback Patrick Mahomes got chased around the yard all day and couldn't get comfortable. Of the 44 times he threw the ball, he was pressured 32 times and sacked 4 times. Kuntz had 3 of them and Butler had the other one. Crosby didn't get a sack in that game, but he did in the second game last year. As a matter of fact, no one in the NFL sacked Mahomes more than Crosby has over his career. I know he's in the same division as Mahomes, so he gets to play him twice a year, but so do the Denver Broncos and Los Angeles Chargers. And it's not Joey Bosa or anyone like that. Kuntz didn't play against the Chiefs last year, but he's healthy now. Butler had a half sack last year against the Chiefs. If Wilkins is healthy along with them, watch out. Another area the Raiders potentially close the gap on the Chiefs is in their coverage. The number 1 Raider killer the Chiefs have is that number 87 fool, Travis Kelce. There, I said his name. The Raiders have a couple of things that might be able to slow him down now. Linebacker Jermaine Pratt, whom the Raiders just got in free agency, is one of the best coverage linebackers in the NFL. They can also throw 6'3", 220 pounds, 4'4", 40 running strong safety Jeremy Chin at him. Chin is much improved in man coverage. He'll play the same role in Carroll's defense he did in Dan Quinn's defense last year. As far as corners go, it looks like Darnay Holmes is going to be the slot corner after doing a good job in Nate Hobbs' stead last year. As of minicamp, it looks like Eric Stokes will be at one of the corner spots. He's a shutdown corner when healthy. At 6'1", 195 pounds with long arms and running a 4.2 40, he'll likely get the Xavier Worthy assignment. Rookie corner Darian Porter is another athlete to match up with the Chiefs' athleticism. The Raiders showed they had a lot of the formula to beat this current Chiefs team back in 2023. The defensive line that got after Mahomes wasn't there last year, but they're back this year, and Wilkins might be with them. They have candidates to cover Kelce, and if Stokes can stay healthy and Porter can function as a rookie, the coverage will be there. On offense, the running game wasn't the same last year due to Josh Jacobs leaving and White turning back into a pumpkin. However, the Raiders have the next great running back, a guard that can block Jones, and a center that can help whoever the other guard is. They have speed to go with Bowers, and lo and behold, they have a quarterback. How much have they closed the gap on the Chiefs? Thank you for watching. See you next time.